A lot of people think, oh, I just care about money, right? Because I do a lot of things helping people become really rich or whatever. But really it's because we're using the numbers, the measurable thing of money, to track this capacity to move between these timelines in a way that we're consciously choosing versus being a slave to our programs, our habituations, our fears, our anxieties. Because God didn't make a different playbook for relationships and money and health. It's the same playbook, but through our distorted lens, we start to see a different playbook and think, oh my God, but that's a different playbook. It's all the same. And when we have one thing that we can use to develop mastery in terms of jumping between these timelines, then we can use it for everything else too. You can have the relationship. Oh, I missed out on the relationship. No, you didn't.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fabulous episode of High Vibin' It. We are excited to introduce you to the one and only Dan the Man. I really wanted to introduce him like that because I'm a dork and it sounds awesome. So here we are with lovely Dan. He is awesome. I would say he's an abundance activator. He's an author, a speaker, a coach, an entrepreneur. He does all the things. And today we're going to get into whatever needs to be gotten into. So Dan, thanks for being here.
Today's show is going to get got.
It's going to get gut. We're getting it. That's what we're here to do. Yeah.
Yeah, we're super excited to talk to you. And Lindsay, I always let Lindsay ask the first question because she has her little ritual. So Linz.
I don't know if it's a ritual, but I always ask this question because I love to get to know, I just love to get to know people. I know the audience would love to get to know you. If for some reason they don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about, your background and the vibe? I want to know the vibe. So let's tell everybody.
Okay, the pressure is on. Yes. The vibe is coming. The vibe is here.
The vibe is here. The vibe has present. Arrived. Okay.
The vibe is upon us. Daniel Mangena, also known as Dan Mangena, also known as Dan the Man.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. So I do various modality, methody, transmission-y things, all really just bringing back people to our natural state. I mean, if you look at nature, in nature, abundance is what we see. The only time that abundance moves out of an experienced thing in nature is when humans get involved because we're really clever and we think we know things. But even in that, nature always seeks to come back to an equilibrium of abundance. It's not something that we have to hustle for, that we have to kill and strive for, that we have to outdo the competition for. It's our natural state. And so everything I'm about is about reminding people about that, whether I'm producing a film, doing a podcast, writing a book, writing an article, or whatever the thing is.
Love it. So basically, your thesis of all the transmissions, if we were to give it an overarching theme, is that you are a part of nature. So you can't be separate from the laws of nature.
Which is
even if you try.
Natural state.
I love that the thing that stuck out to me is nature is always trying to get back to the equilibrium of abundance. And that is absolutely so true. It's just, we're really good at forgetting things like that. Like the most basic laws of the universe. We're just like, must be hard. I know I have that. I definitely have. That's my biggest struggle is like, I have this idea, this deep idea, and there's reasons, but the idea that it must be hard or it's not sustainable. If it's an easy get or if it feels easy, it's a trick, right? So I know a lot of people have that situation going on in some area of their life or in a season perhaps. So can we speak about where you are with that idea and how you can kind of move through into like, it actually doesn't have to be hard? Because we know it here, we know it consciously, but it's getting it into that and embodying that idea that I think is the biggest piece.
Quick question, ladies.
Sure.
Are expletives banned on your platform?
No, we encourage them. Go for it.
It's bullshit. That's what it is. It's bullshit. That's what I have to say about it, Lindsay. It's bullshit. No, and the thing is, again, we humans, we find ourselves to be so clever with our cleverness, which isn't as clever as we think it is. And in our cleverness, we're like, oh yes, we know all of the things, including the things that we don't really know.
Yeah.
And so in my wisdom, here's for anyone who's listening to that and doesn't really believe me, I'm going to pose a question. Have you seen your own ass?
In the mirror.
I'm going to need some more
but that's
detail.
not that's not your ass. That's a reflection of your ass.
Okay. Oh. Okay. So no, I don't think anyone
Have you seen your own face?
No.
So you've seen neither your face nor your butt crack. And yet, with that
How
lack
can
of
we do
personal
this?
experience.
How are we going to finish the show? I can't.
You're killing me.
You are amazing. Okay, keep going.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you. I receiving. Right. Receiving the things as I look at my reflection and my butt crack. So we haven't seen our own butt crack in its fullness. We've not seen our own face in its fullness. We've maybe seen a photo, depending on how you get down with your photography of your bedroom activities. Maybe it's video. I don't know. And that's all good also. No judgment here at all. But yet we presume that one who has not even seen their own face can understand the detailed workings of the freaking universe. And it brings us into this egoic, deluded idea that we can take that understanding and say how things should work out, or say what things should be, including that it has to be hard. Okay. There are 8 billion people in the world, trillions of organisms going on in every single one of those people. How many different thoughts and constructive things going on? We don't know how things have to be. And yet we latch onto this bullshit idea that it has to be hard.
Yeah, I have it is kind of a paradox though, isn't it? Because when you think about it on like the way you're explaining it, it makes perfect sense, because it does seem like it's coming from, well, I know it feels true, so it must be true, right? But the thing is, most of the time it comes from a place of not necessarily, well, you know, in my case, not necessarily the ego of like, I know it has to be this way, but I think, am I deserving of it? It's like the opposite of like my human knowledge and my ego is telling me this is true. It almost feels like the underbelly of that, which is like, it must be hard because how could it possibly be that easy for this human?
It's bullshit, Lindsay.
It's so bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It is bullshit to the max.
It's bullshit. Da, 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 da. But the thing is, it's bullshit that has substance. And one of there's a couple of things. First and foremost, possibility doesn't equate probability.
Right.
And I want everybody that's listening, including you delightful humans here, possibility does not equate probability. So it's possible that it could be hard. But we don't have to increase the probability of that by claiming it as a definite outcome. It's possible that I am subject to a commitment to the illusion of my unworthiness, but I don't have to increase the probability of my physically experiencing people, places, and things, emotions, and circumstances that equate to that bullshit story. I am available to another story, but not whilst I'm holding on to a commitment that the dark side, that underbelly that you described, has to be my experience.
Yeah.
Word. So what I'm hearing is stay open to the possibilities outside of your limited programming and mindset.
Yes. And
bullshit.
this is good. I love this bullshit lane, because when I am someone who I guess works best in tough love, but only for myself. Nobody else can try to give me that except for me. Okay.
Yeah,
and maybe my spirit guide.
I'm tough on my own self.
Exactly. Exactly. Everyone else can be sweet. I'm going to be like, all right, get it together. You know better. You know. Come on. And when I find these things creeping up, it really is an attractive idea for me to be like, in the mirror, no, that's bullshit. Let's move on. Like, it just feels empowering.
I've got even more power. I've got an empowering way for you to actually get beyond it, because here's the thing.
Let's do it.
If you look at it and call it bullshit, then you're accepting it as bullshit and therefore cementing its position in your life as bullshit. In fact, all that we really need to do is say, oh, how interesting. And then give it no attention at all.
How interesting.
I like this approach because it's the zero resistance.
Yeah,
you're not making it an enemy. You're not claiming it as your reality.
Right.
It's just, oh, what an interesting thought. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Like, have either of you read The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle?
Yes.
Right.
I have it. It's right there, but I don't have it.
Okay.
Shelf
to be read.
I know, right?
So there's a story that you'll recognize, Kelsey. There's a story in it where there's the guy, like there was the monk that lived in the village, and a young lady gets pregnant and she blames the monk in the village for having knocked her up. And everyone's like, oh, you knocked up this lady. He's like, is that so? Oh. And then the baby's born and the parents are like, you got to look after this baby. He's like, okay, is that so? Right. And then they come back later and they say, oh, well, actually, the little guy from the baker shop or whatever, who knocked up the girl, he's a real dad. They want the baby back. And he's been raising this kid. And he's like, is that so? And it's not that he didn't get caught up. He knew that he hadn't had sex with the girl. He knew that the kid wasn't his. He knew that he probably formed a bond with the kid. And that's an extreme example, as those old school Chinese guys were used to getting into, like, oh, is that so? And we probably aren't going to be so neutral, but to at least open up to the possibility of not getting caught up in the story so that we can start to move into deeper levels of, is that so? Right? Oh, that thing's coming up in my mind again. Okay, well, I can only generate an ongoing emotional response from the thing, and therefore habits and behaviors and a physical experience if I hold on to it. And even telling it, hey, you piss off, actually is just giving it life, because I'm acknowledging that it's even there. So it's this dance between denying it life and accepting its existence long enough to move on to something else. I call it the difference between a reframe and a bypass. I'm not pretending that it's not there. I'm accepting it, but I'm only accepting it long enough to not accept its place in my reality.
The sweet spot.
It is a sweet spot. It's quite a sweet spot.
Sexy
where
sweet
you're not
spot.
taking it on, but yeah, you're right. You can't also deny it or bypass it, because
Right.
that's not helpful either, because your true
No.
power is in like your starting place, right? If you don't know where you're starting, how can you go anywhere? I always give the analogy of like the GPS needs your starting point too, right? You
There
can't
we
just
go.
say, I want to go here, and then it's just like knows where
But
you
where
are,
are
right?
you? I'm
Right.
where
You
I
have-
said I am in my meditation. Really?
Right. Exactly.
You teleported? Good luck with that one, mate.
Right. So it's okay
Yeah.
to look at where you are
Mhm.
without judgment is more helpful way to do it. And without attachment is a super helpful way to do it. So
Yeah.
And
I'm
so
really
look at where you
digging
are,
this
knowing
approach.
that you don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
Right.
This is where I am right now, and I'm open to where I'm going to go next.
Exactly. We talk about this a lot on the show, that idea of accepting what is, and not believing that you are giving up or settling or surrendering. Surrendering, yes, but in a good way of like,
Yes.
I understand, and
Mhm.
yet I'm still moving forward. Like I get it, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna be over here.
Yeah. It's like, this is where I'm going next. This is the step that I'm on in the journey to where I'm going.
Yeah. And there's a lot of empowerment in that. And it's a hard, sometimes can be a hard thing to come to grips with, especially if you are human. I was gonna say something else, but no, it's just a hard thing.
It's human.
You know.
And you know what? Life is hard sometimes, and that's part and parcel of the thing. And the second
why
that
we're
we can
here.
accept that life is going to be hard sometimes, we can stop pretending it's not going to be hard and then dying under the crushing truth of the fact that it is hard sometimes. And we can develop resilience and resourcefulness to deal with those hard times. That the hard times don't get easier, we get stronger. And the hard times, although haven't changed in their hardness, we are stronger and therefore can navigate them with more grace and ease.
What do we say? It doesn't get easier, you just get better.
That's right.
Yes.
That's our motto here on High
And it's
Vibinate.
bullshit. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
I had
the
to
new
get one
motto.
more. I had to get one more out.
Get one in.
I love that. So I kind of want to go back to the conversation of nature being abundant, and we are nature. How do we come back to this remembrance? Because it's one thing to like put it in your brain like, oh yeah, I am a part of nature, so how can I be separate from the laws of nature? But then I feel like it's another to really integrate it into your nervous system and feel that you are connected to that. So what would you say is a perspective shift that you love that helps get people there, or a process, or anything along those lines?
I would definitely say microshifting is the key to that. Microshifting I define as a consistent series of baby steps in the direction of a consciously chosen outcome. So the consciously chosen outcome in this instance is like being cognitive and, resolute in my understanding and my experience of nature as being my natural state. Okay, that's where I'm going. So I need to be consistent in my baby steps. And I define baby steps really in terms of minimum deliverables. And a minimum deliverable is any small thing that moves me in the direction of where I'm going. See, a lot of people I find get stuck going somewhere because they try to get there at super speed, or they try to get there in steps or leaps outside of their comfort zone, so far outside that they end up short-circuiting, nervous system goes off and all the things. So instead of me saying, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning following this meditation and in Domino Partry, I'm going to be like connected back to my nature. Actually, what if I just ask myself, what's one thing that I can do today to integrate a deeper remembrance of my natural state, no matter how small? Maybe it's just connected with nature. Maybe it's changing one input. Or maybe it's shifting one relationship dynamic that's disrupting that relationship. Maybe it's introducing a regular reminder in terms of a habituation of practice that I'm going to do every day. But if I consistently do that every day, it's physically impossible that I cannot arrive at the destination of that remembrance being the way that I do my life.
Beautiful.
Kelsey, I love him.
You just break it down.
He really
Break it
does.
down.
It's
People
so
really do like underestimate what they can do in little chunks and
Mhm.
overestimate what they can do in like a big leap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Anyone can do what's that saying? 1% better, right? If you can if you can be 1% better every day and stop trying to focus on changing overnight or doing, as you said, leaps and bounds in the direction, that's not sustainable, really. But if you can do, what did you call it? Micro shifts?
Micro shifting is what I call it.
Beautiful. Anyone can do one thing, two things, little things a day that really help them in that direction. It's just so doable and so easy.
And the question becomes, why do we have this obsession with needing to do everything in one go? I think it's fear. Fear that it's not going to happen. Discomfort with where I am. A desire to get there as a shortcut because I'm not prepared to do the work. None of that's sustainable. Can I love myself enough to be where I am in these steps to where I'm going and to enjoy the process, even with the discomfort? That's the game.
We've been talking a lot on the show about getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's where a lot of the magic is. And
that's where growth
if
is.
we're speaking of being in nature and being non-resistant as a practice, like if you're resisting where you are, or you're resisting how you feel, you're resisting what you want, you're resisting what you don't have, whatever, it's just keeps you in that energy of stuck and closed and heavy. And that just makes your experience of being uncomfortable even worse, even less tolerable. So to embrace the uncomfortability and make it okay that sometimes life is hard, sometimes life is uncomfortable. That's a part of the process. That's a part of being human. It's natural, right? It's in your nature to be uncomfortable sometimes. I think that's a really helpful way to look at things.
And you're never, this is a good topic too, because there's a lot of with the micro shifting, it becomes a lot easier to do one thing, two things, little things, right? When in doubt, hug a tree. You'll feel great. I promise you. Stick your face in the sun for a minute. You'll feel great. But it's okay also. Yes, exactly. It's okay also to not know what to do and to give yourself that space to figure it out. Because I know that for me, again, for me, it can become a challenge on top of a challenge of like, well, I don't know what to do. I must figure it out. And now I have two challenges. It's like figure it out and then do the thing where, I could easily, and it's so funny that you're on today because on Friday I decided to wake up, decide how I wanted to feel that day. And I wrote 3 teeny tiny little things that I could do that day to feel in the vibration of how I wanted to feel. And that's something that I'm really trying to do more consistently. And then today you come up in perfect timing and say the exact same thing. So I don't think it's a coincidence. And I don't think it's a coincidence for anybody listening. If you've done what I've done for a long time and made it extremely more difficult than it needs to be, you don't have to know right now. You can just sit and wait for it to come to you or do it later. You don't have to know now.
And the thing is, sometimes the knowing now has us running away from the experience of what's here now versus, okay, let me sit with what's here right now for a minute.
Yeah.
Is that uncomfortable? Maybe. But the discomfort, that's where the growth is. Like if you're comfortable, you're not growing. And if you're too uncomfortable that you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere either, you're stuck. So it's finding again the sexy sweet spot of the discomfort that facilitates growth. And I call it pushing your edge and not your buttons. Pushing your edge and not your buttons. Leaning into the growth and the discomfort up until the point where it feels so uncomfortable that you get stuck, and then ease back a bit. Sit with it. And then when that gets a little too comfortable or the tension starts to ease up a bit, lean in again. And sometimes you're going to coast a little bit and you're not really going to be growing. You're going to be chilling and enjoying the growth that you've done so far. Everything is seasonal. Again, nature, it's seasonal. Like we've got spring, we've got summer, we've got fall, where things die and fall away. And then we've got winter when things replenish and rejuvenate, ready for the springtime again. If we just allow ourselves to move in these natural phases and listen to our body, listen to our heart directing that, versus trying to cognitively dictate the steps again, you know, the
Mhm.
non-butt crack seers. Oh, I haven't seen my butt crack, but I will divide the nature of the universe and the seasons in which I must move, and I will move forward now, in spite of my need to rest.
Yes,
It's
if anyone
ridiculous.
actually has seen their own butt crack, please leave a comment in the Patreon. I need
In
to know.
We
fullness,
need
in
to know.
fullness,
Yeah.
in fullness,
Yes, there's a
in fullness,
caveat.
not like half the crack. Because if you could, like, if you might see the top of it. Oh, I see it. Well, someone's got a really fat ass.
Oh my gosh.
If you've had surgery and you've got a really fat ass and it's like out to the side or something,
Yeah,
that doesn't count.
doesn't count.
A naturally occurring butt crack
You know,
in its entirety.
there are those contortionists that probably have been able to see them,
Maybe, but they haven't seen
still,
their own face.
I
We'll
was
use
gonna
the
say,
face as well. We'll use the
they've
face as
never
well.
seen their own face ever. So it is interesting. I love this idea. Talking about it on paper, it sounds great. In the moments when I'm coasting, and I'm speaking for me, and when I do speak for me, I feel like I'm speaking for like a big chunk of our audience too. When I'm in those seasons, right, of
Oh, y'all out
chilling,
there thinking like me.
I know you're out there, I see you. But when you're in the season of chilling, like everything's fine, I have no reason to worry or be concerned. My life is beautiful right now. But what if I miss something? You know what I'm saying? Like,
should we get quantum on them? Should we get quantum on you guys?
Kelsey knows,
ready?
like on the days when I'm not worried, I'm like, but should I be worried about not being worried? It's ridiculous. Anyway, do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like such a weird.
I'm with you, Bubba.
It's so weird.
I'm with you. I see you, Boo Boo. You ready?
Yes.
Did you call her Bubba? I'm gonna start
Boo-boo.
calling her Bubba.
Boo Boo.
Oh, I thought you
But
said
we could do
Bubba and then
Bubba.
Boo Boo.
We can
Just
do
call me
I love
Boo
both.
Bubba
Bubba Boo
Boo
Boo.
Baba Boo Boo Baba Lulu.
Oh goodness!
this is
I was
ridiculous.
promised
I don't know what's
quantum.
happening.
Let's go there. Let's go quantum.
Okay,
She's
we'll
over
go
the
to quantum
nicknames.
Boo Boos.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So if we look at the nature of reality as is, and by the way, caveat, I'm not a quantum scientist. Neither am I a chiropractor who pretends to be a quantum physicist or a neuroscientist. I'm not. I'm a dude that reads some stuff and understands a basic level something that doesn't need to be as complicated as it's sometimes put forward. So let's get to the simplicity as a non-scientist speaking science. Caveat
Wonderful.
done? In it. Right. So if the quantum model is correct and everything's happening here and now, including every conceivable variation of this moment and every inconceivable variation of this moment, how the dickens can I miss anything? Because it is happening. I'm just not getting to witness it.
Mic drop.
I love it.
So you can't get it wrong. You can't miss out. So what? Like the universe is going to move in a perfect order, and it's moving in an infinite number of perfect orders. There is no perfect plan because that removes infinite possibilities. Infinite sequence of sequencings and sequences of nows that we call timelines, and every single one of them is happening. We just get to, in this meat suit, consciously observe one of them at a time. So the one that you didn't see has happened anyway. So why are you going to lose the experience of the one that you're in, worrying about the one that another variation of you is seeing in another timeline that they're probably seeing in fullness and completeness, and you're here worrying about your butt crack?
Boom. Take that, Bubbas.
Bringing it back to the butt crack.
Back to the butt crack.
And I like this idea that you can't get it wrong, because we do say this a lot. Like you can't choose wrong. I believe with the way that the universe works. If you want something, there's a reason you want it. It has entered your awareness. There is a way to get it. And I like this idea. I mean, it's not an idea. I totally believe in the multiverse situation and the quantumness of it all. And if
Kevin
you
Feige said it, it's real.
It's real. If you can, yes, if you can get on board with that idea, and if you could just reach down and grab any one of those realities, like you really do have the opportunity to do that in a way. And if you miss out, you don't really miss out, but if you, as you said, I forget the exact elegant words you put it in, but another variation of you is experiencing that in its fullness, I totally believe there's going to be another opportunity for you to do so as well, because there's an unlimited, if we're talking about abundance, opportunity is one of those things that falls into the category of limitless abundance. You're always going to have another chance to fall back into alignment or to attract the thing or to do the thing or whatever. be in the relationship. I just think there's a fallacy that there is, if I miss the boat, I'm never going to get another shot.
That's lack. That's the mind.
And it's bullshit.
It's bullshit, mama. And the crazy thing as well is that even if you look at how we move through the concept of time, we're moving between these timelines all the time anyway. It's just most of the time we're doing it unconsciously. So we're navigating the bounce between these experiences and these timelines. Oh my God, I missed the thing, which actually puts us into another timeline of missing the thing, gives us the emotions of missing the thing, which perpetuates more association with timelines of missing things, versus I'm at peace with what I have. I'm grateful for what I have, which brings us into alignment with timelines where we're grateful for what we have because we're just experiencing what we have and grooving that way instead. It's this cosmic game that we are losing the opportunity to experience fully now because we're worried about the nows that we didn't experience in a now that's not even real anymore.
Or the nows that we have
think we
yet.
won't experience. Yeah. We're already mourning the future.
Whether past or future. Yeah.
Which doesn't bring us into a conscious relationship with it where we can start to call in what we want.
So what do you do?
I mean, a lot of people think, I just care about money, right? Because I do a lot of things helping people become really rich or whatever. But really it's because we're using the numbers, the measurable thing of money, to track this capacity to move between these timelines in a way that we consciously choosing versus being a slave to our programs, our habituations, our fears, our anxieties. Because God didn't make a different playbook for relationships and money and health. It's the same playbook, but through our distorted lens, we start to see a different playbook and think, oh my God, but that's a different playbook. It's all the same. And when we have one thing that we can use to develop mastery in terms of jumping between these timelines, then we can use it for everything else too. You can have the relationship. Oh, I missed out on the relationship. No, you didn't. Another version, if you had that relationship, your one is still to come if you choose to step into it. Or you can be a little piece of shit or whatever and just be, oh, I'm going to be on a victimhood, blah, blah, blah. And keep yourself locked in a timeline where you keep not having it. It's up to you. But consciously or unconsciously, you are selecting what that timeline is. My offer is to do it consciously and to have that abundance in your relationships, in your finances, in your vitality, in your choices, all of the yumminess here and now.
Yes, I like it. So I'm getting this ping, like a psychic attack from the listeners. They want us to talk about money. They're like, this is the abundance guy, and you guys aren't talking enough about money. So let's just go there.
Or have we been talking about money the whole time?
Right. But I think maybe let's just let's spell it out a little bit more.
Yes.
So
put some numbers on the board.
Yeah. So speaking of money, the people that you've worked with that become the most masterful at getting rich in dollars or rupee or whatever the money is, what would you say are some key components or things that they had to overcome or work through in order to be masterful in this realm?
First and foremost, dropping that it's work and making it a game. That's why my book all about money is called Money Game. Money Game, number one.
I like
Number two, remembering that it's just numbers on a screen nowadays. So there's a book called The Bitcoin Standard. I don't remember the name of the guy that wrote it, but it's called The Bitcoin Standard. It's a white book with some orangey stuff on the cover. But he literally goes into the history of money and how money's been given different meaning over time. And how, there was gold, there was cockle shells, there was bits of glass. And right now, money is just literally someone decided arbitrarily or had a vote or whatever and typed a button and the numbers showed up on a screen. And then for some of it, because I think like 10% or 7% of the money that's actually in circulation in terms of US dollars is printed in dollar bills. The rest of it's actually just numbers on the screen that arbitrarily move around. And those numbers on a screen only have value if they move around. And all you need to do to get those numbers on the screen to come to you is to be in an exchange with someone where you give them a reason to give those numbers to you. The second that you understand it's just these numbers on a screen moving around, following value and following purpose, and that all you need to do is create value and create purpose, and those numbers move to you, then it's not this, oh my God, money. Oh, it's just numbers on a screen, literally, that move around all the time anyway.
Yes. I always think about it like that because when I realized that only so much money was like physical and the rest was just these numbers on a screen, zeros moving around, debt being passed, like it's not actually a thing to accumulate, right? Then it does become a very interesting game. And I have to ask, Are you a Bitcoin maxi? Are you a Bitcoiner?
What does
Mhm.
maxi mean?
It means that you think Bitcoin is the only crypto worth holding and you don't hold anything else. And
Got
you
it.
try to get all your friends and family to buy Bitcoin and you're basically obsessed.
Is that what you are, Kels? Because that sounds like you just
I
described yourself.
was at one point, but I'm more open now.
Kelsey's the Bitcoin queen over here.
Yeah. I'm into a bit
little
of
bit.
I'm into a bit of cheeky crypto. I'm a sad loser on Bitcoin because
Why did you lose a lot of Luna? Oh,
I didn't touch that shit. I was in Bitcoin in 2013 and I didn't understand where it was going. Like,
Yeah.
I know where this story is going.
Then overnight, like Bitcoin was like, shit, I'd have like 30, 40 million if I hadn't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sure
happens
a lot
to
of
the
people,
best of us.
Yeah, a lot of people have those stories. I just don't get any of it. My husband, I'll ask Abel. Maybe my husband will like know about it, but he's not gotten into it either, and he's usually that guy.
But the thing is, there's a lot of mixed messages now. There's a lot of people that preach, and again, we're not financial advisors, listeners. We're just shooting the shit,
right?
Chopping stuff up for educational purposes only, because I'm not trying to get sued. Don't know about y'all, but I ain't trying to get no lawsuit.
No lawsuit here, please.
But I mean, I use it as an inflation hedge. My personal feeling with the current situation is it's very interesting that BlackRock, one of the biggest hedge funds in the world, just bought out Coinbase, and they're on the verge of putting through the biggest legislation on cryptocurrency in the US just before the prices suddenly went down from 60 to 20,000 and have been kept there. Every time it tries to go up, it gets brought back down again. And institutional money cannot get in on the Bitcoin game without legislation.
Right.
And there are trillions and trillions and trillions of institutional money that want to get in. And gold has been artificially kept down as well. When inflation, we've got the biggest inflation for 40 years and gold price is suppressed. Like, if you understand basic economics, that makes no sense at all.
A lot of nonsensicals going on these days.
Nonsensicals. So I keep a percentage of my overall portfolio in cryptocurrency. I keep Ethereum as well because Ethereum's got more utility than Bitcoin. So I keep some of that. And I've got a basket of smaller coins as well that have done very well for me over time. But I'm very much a hodler. I don't really let go of my crypto, and I buy a little bit every single day, so I get an average pricing. But that's my my cryptocurrency philosophy.
Love it. But we never talk about crypto on the show, so I'm like excited to just bring it into the conversation.
Crypto's man's money. If anyone wants to understand it, you can get your hubby to do this too as well. Boo boo baba. The Bitcoin standard, it will break down exactly what money has been, where money's going, and where cryptocurrency, and specifically Bitcoin, stands in terms of money as a function.
And what is the resource you said? What's the book?
It's called The Bitcoin Standard.
Bitcoin Standard. Oh, that's the one you were talking about earlier with the orangey stuff.
That's the book. That one, it breaks it down. And I love the way he spends like his whole time giving the entire history of money, talking about how the way that they've done quantitative easing recently, how it was done historically, how it's always happened, how currencies always crashed and always ended up being something different. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out.
Okay.
Love
Kelsey, I think he might have just gotten me to buy a Bitcoin book.
I've only been trying to tell you about it for years, but it's fine. I'm not going to take it personally. It's fine. It's fine. Also, another resource if you guys are like, ooh, what is money? Ooh, what is Bitcoin? A podcast I really love is called What is Money by Robert Breedlove, and I'm trying to get him on the show. So Robert, please come on our show. But
come on, Robert, come and hang out.
Come on, Robert, come hang on High Vibing It. We want to know. But anyway, back to the wealth building, back to being rich. Can we talk about some, I feel like there's still this big, like massive program that being rich is like sticky or not good or it makes you some type of person.
That you're somehow going to change overnight if you have a bunch of money.
Can we call out some of this bullshit? Can you give some of your beneficial perspectives on this?
Yeah, it's bullshit.
I knew it. I thought he was going to say it. Yeah.
Money's just a tool. Money doesn't have an agenda.
Exactly.
Oh my God, this pen's going to make me evil. It's the bringer of all news saying, no,
It's
it's a
red.
freaking tool. Yeah, the devil. It's just a tool that allows me to transmit messages by making squiggles on a page. Money is just a tool that allows me to exchange value with people to get things that I need. It has no opinion. If you're a twat without money, you're going to be a twat with money.
Oh my God,
Truth.
yes. This is what I say. And this is true about everything. Who you are as a person is who you're going to be in the relationship, with money, with all of with
twat,
your
you're
job.
a twat. Go sort your life out.
Hey there. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but if you want to listen to the whole thing, we're going to invite you over to our podcast. Either search for High Vibing It on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to podcasts, or even better, if you want to watch the extended video version of this episode that's even longer than the actual podcast itself, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/highvibe. Lindsay, tell them what's awesome about the Patreon.
Patreon is where we have all of our extended episodes. As Kelsey said, we have it on video, so you can actually see the things that we're talking about. Sometimes we have visual aids, and it's nice to know what we're talking about. We also have hangouts that we do sometimes that are exclusive to Patreon people. And you can get started with all of this and bonus content and everything that we have only for the Patreon people for as little as $3. I think it's $3.33 a month. And that's it. And you guys can get all the benefits and all access to everything that we put in there. Really cool.
It's really cool, really fun, super easy to join. And you guys don't even have to do that to finish this episode. If you're like, screw it, I don't want to pay any money, I just want to hear the rest of this episode, go to our podcast, High Vibing It, search for it wherever you listen. It's totally free. Either way, enjoy the rest of the show wherever you choose to enjoy it. And we will see you guys next week because we do a new one every week. Adios.
Bye.